I was sitting there on the table and she's like, "Are you sure that you're in labor?" And I said, "Yes, it's just between contractions." After I said that, I went to another contraction and I was like, "Woo, okay." So I was doing my horse lips and she's like, "That's too much. You need to cool the soup," or something like that. Like, breathe calmly in, breathe calmly out. I was like, okay.
So first she was questioning whether or not you were in labor, and then next she was telling you to calm down.
Yes. Yeah. She was like, "Your horse lips are too aggressive."
Oh my gosh. I'm Kayla Heater, follower of Jesus, wife and mother of 6 children, Christian childbirth educator and doula, and your host of the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, where we share God-centered birth stories, evidence-based birth education, and our pursuit of surrendering our birth plans to God. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week, no matter how hot it is. Actually, we're supposed to have a little bit cooler weather, and I'm excited about it. I kind of, love a nice, cooler, stormier, rainier day in the middle of the summer. It's a nice break from the heat. We have been out a lot at the pool last week we went on our trip to go visit my grandparents in West Virginia, which we do every 4th of July. Did the ice cream, fireworks, porch time, all of it. It was awesome. Loved it. It goes by so fast. And each year I'm like, okay, we need to stay another day longer next year. So we probably will, honestly. Already planning next year's trip. But this past week was my 3rd child's 7th birthday, and we went to the pool for his birthday, and we also did like a little party here at our house this weekend and got out the big water slide that we have and had our best friends in from Holly Springs, and it was just a lot of fun. It was good to see friends and celebrate him. He truly is like our middle child who I feel like genuinely does get less attention than everybody else just due to the demands of family life. So we were glad to be able to have a chance to celebrate him and make him feel special and make him feel seen and heard, and just, that he is a big part of this family too. Okay, if you or somebody that you know is interested in sharing their birth story on the podcast, we would love to have you share or have them share. I am currently in the process of switching my scheduling software, but that's just sort of on the back end. You can still fill out the form. There's a link in every single week's episode show notes that says, if you're interested in sharing your birth story, click here. So just click on that link in the show notes. It will set you to a Google form where you can fill out your information and submit it so that it will come to me and I can see that you're interested, and then I'll reach out to you. But we would love to have some more birth stories here on the podcast, or if there's a birth topic that you're super passionate about or have a lot of experience with or very knowledgeable in, we also do those. I try to do a topical episode every 5 weeks or so. So if that is on your radar too, please reach out. I'd love to chat more about it. Otherwise, we are always ready for new birth stories. So please fill out the form. We would love to. I know we have a lot of new listeners. And so if you're a newer listener and you feel led, the Holy Spirit's poking at you to share your story because, it would make an impact for others out there in their faith or in their births, please do. Please click on that link and submit a form, and it will come to me and I'll get in touch with you. Okay, let's jump into this week's episode. When you're planning on getting pregnant in advance, making sure your body is healthy and nourished can truly be to your advantage. That's what Susan did before attempting to conceive her son, and the Lord blessed her with a quick conception and a very smooth pregnancy. She also did her part in preparation for labor through classes, books, podcasts, and hiring a doula. All of this was so beneficial to her and her husband, Brian, and although she knew God's will was better than her own, and she held her plans with open hands of surrender, He still chose to bless her by answering many prayers during her relatively fast and natural labor as a first-time mother. Well, welcome to another episode of Surrendered Birth Stories. I am your host, Kayla Heater, and I have Susan and Brian with me today. If you guys could just take a minute and introduce yourselves and let us get to know a little bit about you and your life.
Well, my name is Brian, and we have been married for almost 3 years. I'm a husband and now a father, and I'm an aeronautical engineer as a profession.
Aeronautical engineer, like you work on airplanes?
Yes.
Do you like repair them or like design them, or what do you do?
I help design them. I am a stress analyst, and all that means is that I make sure the parts are as lightweight as possible without breaking.
Cool. That sounds like you have to be like super smart to do that. Do you work for the government or do you work like for like an independent company or?
I call it government adjacent, and it's a big company.
Cool. Well, that is exciting and cool.
I just like airplanes. Then that's it.
That's cool. My uncle was in the military, and that's what he was an airplane mechanic, and that's what he did. And when he got out of the military, he kept doing it here.
Mhm.
So I always think that's fascinating.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, Susan, what about you?
Yes. So we live in Georgia now, but I'm actually from Oklahoma. So I moved here almost 9 years ago to go to the church I go to, is Faith Community Church, which is where we met. I guess that'd be 4 years ago.
Yeah.
2022.
Mhm.
So right now I'm a stay-at-home mom, but like to be outside, like hiking, playing sports, like all the artsy things. And I'm now home being a mom, and I love it. It's great.
How old is your baby?
He's 7 weeks today.
7 weeks, girl. So you're in the thick of this postpartum. Look at you.
Yes.
You're like upright and smiling and everything. You're looking great.
Thanks.
Okay, just this is curious question. So you left Oklahoma specifically to come to a church in Georgia?
Yes.
Okay, can I hear a little bit more about that? I don't know if my husband will put this in or not, but I'm just curious.
My oldest sister married a Georgian. My dad is from Georgia, but he moved over to Oklahoma because my mom's from Oklahoma. Anyway, but we would come during the holidays, and where we grew up in Oklahoma, we just didn't have, like, we wanted to be more spiritually challenged. And so my parents were like, okay, let's move to Georgia. Never moved in my life. And I was like, what? What do you mean? They're like, I want to go to this church. And we think it's great. They have plurality of elders. And we just want to retire here, basically. And I was like, okay.
So your whole family moved. It wasn't like just you.
It was me and my parents. And then my sister has been here for, I guess, 17 years. My other siblings, one was living in Dubai at that point. The other one was living in Oklahoma, or two were still living in Oklahoma. I'm the fourth. So anyway, yeah, that was a long story short.
Well,
Details, but
that's cool. But then you met your husband.
Yes. I was like, I'm going to be single forever. I had 26, I'm so old. No, not really. But yeah, we met at a college and career at my church. Yeah. Over the summer, we would just do different events. And we met, I believe it was at an ultimate Frisbee game. Because I saw him a lot because he's 6'2". Like he's kind of, noticeable.
Yeah.
I am 5'3". But yeah, I was like, oh, hi, I'm Susan. What's your name? Kind of just inviting him to the group and stuff like that. So that just kind of hit it off from there.
Nice.
Which is great because he's a runner. I'm not a runner. And I was like, I've always felt like I was like a newborn giraffe when I'm running, or like a jock trying to run and they're just like not really graceful at it.
I'm not that great at running though.
But he knew like techniques about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll try it. Sure. But before I got pregnant, I did half a marathon, which was like, never thought I would do that ever.
Wow.
So I'm going to have that as one of my affirmation cards. Like, I ran a half marathon. We can do hard things here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's a little bit about me, I think. And the Lord saved me when I was 14. So I've known the Lord more than half of my life, which is wild because I'm turning 30 in September.
Oh, look at you.
I know. That's wild.
Big milestone.
Yes, right?
Well, let's dive in to your birth story. I guess it wasn't even a year ago that you got pregnant if you have a 7-week-old. So tell us the story or the journey to getting pregnant. Start there.
So I wanted to be pregnant ever since I was like 15, get married, have kids, all that fun stuff. So when I met him, I was still completing my bachelor's. So I went back to school as a late bloomer, but I wanted to finish this time. And so we both agreed that it'd be beneficial for me to have a degree before we started having kids because it would just make things easier. And so I was actually prepping when we got married because I thought you never know, the Lord can just send you a baby because that's what happened to one of my sisters. They're like, I'm going to finish school. And then she got pregnant and all that stuff. So I actually started studying from a friend, nourishing traditions. So they're like, eat liver, eat cheese and raw milk and all this stuff, all organic as much as you can. And so I started doing that, started trying to get healthy, hence the half marathon, training and running. And I love trail running. It's amazing. So we do that around Kennesaw Mountain in Kennesaw, Georgia. But anyway, so I've been kind of preparing for pregnancy because I thought, never know, no idea, never done this before, first time mom. And so I completed my bachelorette last year in May. And then now I was like, okay, goal done. Now to get pregnant. And so I was like, waiting for this for like a long time. And it took like a couple, like not even 3 months, but I was very impatient. So the Lord was really humbling me. And I also didn't know if I could get pregnant because, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. And so I actually ended up getting pregnant before our second anniversary. And honestly, my pregnancy was very smooth. I didn't really have any morning sickness. I didn't really have food aversions. It was very, very easy. I tried to do like 11,000 steps at least 5 times a day. Try to do that.
5 times a day?
No, 5 times a week.
There's the sleep
55,000 steps a day.
Yes, thank you,
wow.
Anyway, I just saw it as a challenge. And I started listening to your podcast because of Sheologians. Thanks, Summer Yeager. And so I started listening because I did a birth class. But yeah, I thought it was a challenge. I knew it was going to be hard. So I just tried to be positive, try to not complain, try to do whatever I could. But yeah, so my pregnancy was very, not textbook, but much, I guess, because I didn't really have any other issues besides that.
Well, and I wonder if your preparation ahead of time, when you said Nourishing Traditions, I was like, oh, that's a good book. Like, that's a good, hearty book with lots of great information and great recipes. And if you were like diving into that and getting your body like healthy and ready before you got pregnant, that could be a great reason why you didn't have like morning sickness or like anything, not that all morning sickness comes from being unhealthy, because trust me, I've tried it all, but that was like a great move on your part. That could definitely have been a contributing factor as to why you didn't feel sick. So that's awesome.
I was really, again, didn't know what to expect. I was like, I view it as a privilege to be able to carry, because I've had a friend who was married for a couple of years and then they started trying and they couldn't. But the Lord used that. They now adopted a baby girl. And I think that's very precious. And, what better situation to be in for their baby than to be in a Christian home.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just didn't know. It was just hard to know what was going to happen. How is this going to play out? But however it's going to work, I'm going to try to be thankful and try to be like, this is a privilege. You get to, carry the next generation.
Yeah.
So I try to view it that way.
You were taking lots of vitamin C.
Yes, I was taking a lot of vitamin C, which is great because Brian ended up getting strep throat, but it was practically asymptomatic. And I got that from you.
Very weird.
because I thought, because I was listening to your podcast. You were like my big sister doula, not times two, because I already had a doula. But I was like listening to what you're saying, like, oh, take liver. This is going to help with, hair loss postpartum, and take a lot of vitamin C because that's going to help for your water not break. So I thought, shoot, let's try it. Let's do it.
So then did you not get the strep throat?
No.
That's great.
No. I didn't get strep throat, but I was around other people who were sick as well. And I was like, don't want to be sick. That doesn't sound great.
Thank you, beef liver and vitamin C. Yes.
Yes. And like prenatal, I was just like, let's just do all things. Just try as much as possible. Let's just see how it goes. But yeah. And also arnica helped a lot, especially with my swelling. That helped with contractions, getting into that later. Helped with just everything. Arnica, Montana, the gel is great. Because again, I have cramps because your body is not used to just the exponential growth in the third trimester. So my body was like, oh, what is happening here? Anyway.
Well, that's good that it helped you.
Yes.
We have that actually here at our house. My daughter was rolling it on herself last night. She had some sort of muscle cramp.
It's great for leg cramps and for bruising, as long as the skin isn't broken. That's fine to use. But I think the most part was spiritual, because the Lord saved me out of being a glutton. And so like gaining all that weight back, and like seeing when I would go into the prenatal appointments and having the weight logged, I was like, oh my gosh. I think any woman has that, sensitivity. Maybe more so. I was like, okay. But Brian was very helpful. He was like, this is good weight. This is you being healthy. You want to gain weight. You're growing a baby.
Yeah.
Like a baby needs to gain weight.
Right.
So, and then people's comments, I was not prepared for just strangers coming up and touching my belly.
Mm-hmm.
And for just their comments, like saying like, oh, are you due this month? And I'm like, I have 2 months after that.
Mm-hmm. I
was not prepared. Even now being postpartum, like trying to deal with that now, not be sensitive, just let it slide off my back. Be like, I've said stupid stuff before. I definitely said things, put my foot in my mouth. So I'm just going to overlook it, give grace. But yeah, that's happened a whole lot. I was not prepared.
Well, maybe you'll be more prepared next time, because I found that with each baby, I gained a little bit more confidence with people's comments and how to respond to them.
It's just wild. Even if because my goal was to be unmedicated and natural. And even then, I'm at baby shower. People are like, gave me a look like, oh, that's cute. Like you really want to do that. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to see how far I can go. And my opinion, I want to pull on the Lord's strength and have believers around me, which I have Brian, and then my doula, who's a Christian, and then my older sister, who she's done the gamut of births. She's had 3, all very different. And so I thought, I want to try to do it. Just try to do it naturally. If it ends up like we need to do epidural, we need to do whatever, that's fine. I was just going to try to do it. I try to be natural as much as I could.
So you were planning an unmedicated natural birth in the hospital.
Yes. So I was going to initially I was going to a midwifery practice that was going to birth at a hospital. And I thought that the Atlanta Birth Center, because again, we're in Georgia, I thought they were outside of insurance, but then I found out going into my 3rd trimester, they take our insurance. And I called the insurance company, the same benefits. And during that time, my other sister, again, I'm one of 5 kids. My other sister had her kid with the same big umbrella hospital. And I did not like the way they treated her. I did not like now granted, the one I would deliver is more natural, but even then they have their procedures. I don't like hospitals in general. If I can not go to it, that'd be great. But yeah, so then later on I got in just on the cusp of the Atlanta Birth Center deadline and got to be their patient. I think I was 32 weeks pregnant at that point, which was their cusp, because they have all these birth courses and prenatal and all that stuff you have to take. So I did eventually do that. I did 2 birth courses. I read 2 different type of books. and just try to be as educated as possible. So the goal was a birth center. Oh, it was technically a home birth, but right now we can't do that. So I was like, birth center, let's do that.
The goal was a home birth, but you can't do a home birth?
At this point, yeah, we can't. We're saving up for a house. We're actually living at my parents. And so I just didn't want to do that. I'd be like, hey, can y'all just leave? Because I'm in labor.
Right. Can I have a home birth in your home? Yeah. I totally get that.
Right.
Yes. Well, and that's what birth centers are for. I was having that conversation with somebody recently about how, I think I was at a prenatal actually, and I was saying how, yes, like whenever anyone wants to go to a birth center, I try to talk them into a home birth unless they have a legitimate reason that justifies like, no, we need to do a birth center. And that's one of those. When someone's not living in their own home and they don't have access to like a home to birth in, or they don't have like permission from whoever owns the home to have a birth there. And then I'm like, yep, then a birth center is a better place for you.
Yes, which I loved their model of care. Now I will say they're pretty woke, so that's something. Yeah, that's definitely because I was telling Brian, like either way, you're gonna have to pay pagans, whether it's at the hospital, whether it's at the birth center.
Yeah, I'd rather not be in your face.
Yeah, which was unfortunate. But at this point, I'm like, well, we're here. Which I also prayed specific prayers for my birth. I prayed that I would deliver him during the day. And I prayed that Brian would be towards the weekend because Brian's off on Fridays. I prayed that I could do it naturally. I prayed I wouldn't have muscle cramps. I prayed that, whatever happened, I wouldn't yell at people. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I mean, if I do have to ask and repent, the Lord can use that too. But I just didn't want to do that. In general, I don't want anyone to go ahead.
One of the midwives had facial hair.
Yes.
So
wait, what?
One of the midwives had facial hair.
Oh.
As in like one of the midwives was a man, or one of the midwives was like taking hormones to become a man? Whether you are pregnant with your first baby or wanting to have a different birth experience for a subsequent delivery, this is the fully comprehensive Christian childbirth course for you, the Surrendered Birth Course. With over 10 years of experience as a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and having had 5 kids myself, almost 6, I have created a course fit for every mama out there who wishes to be fully informed on all things pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding, while remembering to keep Jesus at the center of it all. Our God created a beautiful design for birth, something to look forward to and not something to be feared. Not only will this course get you prepared for your birth, but it will also get you excited for it. It will answer questions you never knew you had and teach you things you didn't realize were so incredibly valuable and central to the entire birthing process. I've had numerous couples on their 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th babies who've taken this course and said how incredibly glad they were and that they learned so much more than they ever thought they would. With over 12 hours of video content, 5 modules, numerous lessons, detailed PDF printout notes, and endless resources, we dive deep into pregnancy, labor, the risks and benefits of interventions, inductions, immediate and extended postpartum for both mom and baby, everything you need to know about breastfeeding, and basic newborn care. This course covers everything. Once you've taken the course, I am available to you for any questions you might have during a monthly live Q&A Zoom call exclusive to our online course audience, as well as through email. The course is on demand, so as soon as you purchase it, you'll be able to start right away and re-watch any lessons as many times as you need. Whether you are planning a medicated hospital birth or an unmedicated birth at a birth center or home birth, this course will prepare you in every way that you can be prepared. While I understand the desire to take a specific hospital or home birth course catered to your specific birth plans, birth doesn't always go how we plan. And having the knowledge of how birth can go in other environments outside of our plans is essential. Most importantly, I will help you to surrender these plans to God. And in return, the Holy Spirit will provide you with the peace that only He can give. For more information on the course, to read testimonials of others who have taken it, or to sign up for the course, just click the link in the show notes. And lastly, remember, just like we say here every week on the podcast, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
One of the midwives had facial hair.
Oh,
As in, like, one of the midwives was a man, or one of the midwives was like taking hormones to become a man?
Well,
it was, yeah.
I'm not convinced that they were a woman. Susan was, but that they were taking hormones.
Yeah.
So the fact that both of us couldn't agree on what we were seeing.
The fact that you couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman.
I also prayed that we wouldn't have that midwife when I went into labor because we were just not spiritually aligned, and I just didn't. I didn't want to deal with that. So I emailed the birth center. I was like, because there's 2 different midwives on call. What is your policy if, the client doesn't align with the provider? And they basically are really sweet about it. They're like, you get what you get. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was only tolerant of this place only because of their type of care, that they do let the mothers do what they need to do on their own time schedule, and they're very minimal. And all the other midwives were fine. It was just this one.
They went by they in their bio. So we're like,
they had what I call the demon shoes. They're these black leather boots that have soles that are like 2 or 3 inches thick, and I call them demon shoes just for jest. But that's very unprofessional. You're a medical person. Why are you wearing like a chain on your pants, and they're not any kind of scrub material, and you're wearing these thick rubber boots?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
well, and also, that's someone I thought of, like, we can pray for her, because obviously they're lost, and they
and pray for their soul, and like God created them, God loves them, we love them, we're called to love everybody, and we pray that that person would find the Lord and find freedom in the Lord, and enjoying the blessings of the biological gender that the Lord has given them, whether that was man or woman. That seems to be not clear, but whichever. It is interesting. I feel like I've never heard of a biological male midwife. I don't know if that even exists. I've heard of, obviously there's male OBs, lots of them, most of them, but
yeah. Well, when they submitted charges, when I looked on insurance, it is a woman, but their name.
Anyway, trying to be
so
man.
that was another thing. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, very credentialed, knew what she was doing, but definitely needs the Lord.
Definitely would stall the labor.
I mean, if you were that uncomfortable around somebody, especially during such a fragile and vulnerable time, and if you have, assumptions about their sexuality, and then, you're going to be completely nude in front of them, like that would cause like hormone issues and labor stalling issues as well. Right. So it's completely understandable. We're not passing judgment on them. We are just saying in this environment, for this specific situation, when it's so important to be spiritually aligned with everybody in the room for the sake of the mom in her labor.
Yeah. There's a practicality aspect to this that I can't tolerate this kind of a person
in this situation. Yeah.
That person will be a detriment or a liability on the birth. So fortunately, we did not have that midwife present when we went in
to labor.
Right.
Yeah. So when did you go into labor?
So his due date was April 12th. And then on Thursday, I lost my mucus plug in the morning, pretty early in the morning. And then I had a bloody show as well. And then I thought, okay, maybe something's happening. I don't know. And so then I texted my doula and she's like, okay, something's definitely happening. You're definitely early labor. You definitely want to rest. Don't try to push it. Don't do anything crazy. Just let it progress. Like something's happening. So I thought, okay, this is great. I'm so excited. And so probably afternoon, I had like menstrual cramp type pain, really not bad. I was like, oh, I'll just walk and my sister called me. So we were talking and just kind of easing into it. And then probably mid afternoon, I would have contractions, and I don't know, you can probably speak to this too. I thought this was really strange. When I would have contractions, it was like it would go down my thighs as well, like the pain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what that meant, but I did know like during my pregnancy, I had some type of hip pain. One of the things was the jiggle from spinning babies.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had Brian like jiggle my thighs to help release things and for me not to maybe I was just tensing. I don't know, but it really wasn't that bad. I could tolerate it. And the contractions were like 10 minutes apart. It wasn't really crazy. And so that was like throughout the night, we just try to rest and try to rest and try to rest.
It's not happening.
Right. And it was really weird is that in Friday morning, I'm like, oh, okay, they're like 10 minutes apart. It's not really anything. I could be, again, from your podcast, I could be in this for days. I don't know.
You could.
And it was interesting. I did call the midwife. I called the doula just to make sure like, oh, hey, this is on the radar, just so you know, something's happening. And they both kept on asking like, has your water broken? And I said, no. As far as I understand, no. I don't think so. Because there wasn't a gush, there wasn't a trickle. It was just the mucus plug and the bloody show.
Yeah.
And there was just more bloody show happening. There wasn't really anything else beyond that. And so Friday, probably late morning, contractions would pick up a little more intensely being vertical. So then I was just kind of squat in it and try to breathe, do horse lips. And then when I sat down on the ball, it was better because my exercise ball, bounce up and down, kind of distract myself. But the worst was being on my side. I don't know why, but it was like, whoa, which was good. I mean, I was trying to think like when it would come, like, okay, this is good. This is bringing my baby. I want this. And, this is the 40 weeks pregnant. Okay. I was thinking 42, 41 weeks plus. It's first time mom. I had all these projects I was going to do. It was crazy. So I thought, I want to be busy. Don't want to be like twiddling my thumbs and be like, why isn't he here? And be impatient. Yeah. So the Friday, getting into the afternoon, I was still trying to rest, trying to sleep as much as possible between contractions. And then I called the midwife. I was like, what do you think? Because they were like an hour away from us.
At what time are you talking about?
Probably about 1. And we're like, just wait. They're still like 7 minutes apart. Okay, whatever. So then another 2 hours probably passed. So around 3, I went up to go get some water and I had 3 contractions back to back to back. And yes, I don't know what being vertical did, but it did it. So I called the midwife. I was like, hey, this is happening. She's like, yeah, you should come. So then I called my doulas for us to meet at the birth center. I called my sister, oldest sister, to be there too. So then it's funny because Brian was like, I don't want to have a baby on the side of the shoulder of the interstate. Not my will. Which is fine because the contractions kind of stalled a little bit. So they were back to like the 6 minute mark between. But it was interesting. So we pulled up, and as I got out of the car, boom, another contraction. So we opened the door. We're about to check in. And it was really funny because the assistant that was checking us in, going to triage, I was sitting there on the table and she's like, are you sure that you're in labor? And I said, yes, it's just between contractions. Like, I'm pretty sure. So then after I said that, I went to another contraction and I was like, woo, okay. So I was doing my horse flips and she's like, that's too much. You're being too aggressive. You need to cool the soup or something like that. Like breathe calmly in, breathe calmly out. I was like, okay.
So first she was questioning whether or not you were in labor, and then next she was telling you to calm down.
Yes. Yeah. She was like, your horse flips are too aggressive.
Oh my God.
Apparently. Whatever. Anyway, so then I got up and again, boom, another contraction, went to the bathroom, came back in. So then my doula came. We had the monitor for him and all that stuff. And it took about an hour because apparently he was moving and
He needed continual readings of his heart rate. They needed like 20 minutes of continual baby heart rate monitoring, but it kept getting off and we kept having to readjust the little monitor thing.
Is this birth center attached to a hospital or is it freestanding?
it's freestanding.
It's next to a hospital, but it is freestanding.
Yeah, it's next to Grady, like less than 10 minutes, which is a big hospital in Georgia. So if I needed to, I could transfer if something happened.
Okay.
But it was just funny because, again, the midwife said, okay, we done the monitor for about an hour. And Brian looked up something about reading the monitor. He's like, okay, I think we're...
Yeah, there's a number on there that I didn't know because it didn't label it on the machine, but it was the contraction intensity metric. Apparently it's in millimeters of mercury, not the pressure, which is very interesting. I didn't expect that. And I forget what the numbers were, both for you're in active labor versus early labor, but every sign said that she was in active labor, which is good because we didn't want to be there and then for them to say, oh, go home or take a walk or something.
So I thought, okay, even if we're less than 3 centimeters, I'm first time mom, I don't know what this is like. It's fine. We'll just walk around. We'll see what's happening after, I'm moving around and stuff. So then the midwife came and checked me and she stepped back and she said, whoa, you're 7 centimeters and your water is still intact. I was like, yes.
Way to go, first time mom.
Yes, because I didn't know. It's hard to know.
Well, and you hadn't been in labor all that long, like active labor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. Never done this before. We'll see. So then they said, okay, let's pull you into the room and figure this out. So then I did some contractions on the toilet. Woo, boy, howdy. Very effective. And so we did a couple of those and I kind of walked around and tried to be very communicative. Like, this is when it's happening. And again, just going over like, this is good. Says, bring me my baby.
It started getting much worse up to the point that you almost started pushing.
Yeah. So I got into the shower and then my water broke and it didn't have any meconium in it because that's one of the things that would cause you to transfer, which I was very thankful for. And it was in the shower.
Nice. Easy cleanup.
Yes. And so then I decided to get into the pool. And at that point,
pushing at this point.
Oh, yeah. That's what the doula said, like, I think she's pushy. And I was like, oh, I think that's what that is. Okay. So I went to the water and that was interesting because I think it relaxed me a lot, which I think I probably needed to relax and calm down a little bit. Because again, first time mom, I think I was a little too throaty with moaning and stuff. I don't know if I was doing a great job. But anyway, and so I was also so thirsty. I had this gallon of water, all these electrolytes, because then again, I was trying to not cramp because that's been like my 3rd trimester signature cramping, leg cramping. And I was afraid of that too. I was like, oh. But if I have electrolytes and I'm drinking throughout, I'm peeing and I'm eating, all that stuff, it should be fine. So me and Brian were both in the water and all the things. And I was like, I think I'm going to throw up. Then my doula had the bag, and it was funny because it indicated how many ounces. I vomited like 32 ounces.
Oh my gosh.
I guess of all the water that I was drinking throughout. So then I was like, I said my sister's name. I was like, I need this Lar bar, and I specifically need the raspberry chocolate chip, whatever, Lar bar. And I need energy because I just vomited. And my wife was like, that's new.
Did your sister have to leave the premises and go get it, or had you guys packed it with you?
No. So I had a snack bag. I had a midwife gift bag, which put tracks in there if you're going to do that and like talk to them about it. Perfect way to witness to them. And the snack bag was for all of us, just whoever needed it. But Larabar, I was like, I really want that raspberry chocolate, whatever, chocolate truffle Larabar. And it was really funny. Everyone was shocked. She's like, you just vomited. I'm like, shoot, I need energy. I don't know. This is on.
So did you throw up the Larabar?
No, I vomited mostly water stuff. And then the Larabar was fine.
Nice.
Obviously, I pooped in there too. And the pool, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
All the fluids, everything's just happening. And so then the contractions weren't becoming as effective as midwife wanted to. Like I changed positions. And I remember being in the pool and just kind of leaning towards my side and just being like, just rest for a little bit. Let's just do that. And so then Brian asked midwife, like, is this okay? And midwife basically said, as long as you're making progress, your body's moving, we're fine. As long as she's not, what did she say, like pushing or something for like 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah, something like that. You were in the pushing stage for like 2 hours, I think.
Something like that.
And she said there's no concern as long as it doesn't exceed 3 or 4.
So then I thought, let's get out of the pool. Sounds great.
You were getting pretty hot in the pool too, because the pool water was warm.
Right. But I hate being hot. That was like, I'm very thankful that I had my 3rd trimester during the spring, because I would have been like dying, because they had, it's a lot of heat, a lot of everything. So then I actually got onto the bed, which was one of the things I totally do. Like, I do not want to be on my back because I have back issues. I was in a car accident and my back, one of my vertebrae was being broken. So anyway, I don't like being on my back. Like, that's like, no. Which was another thing I was concerned about with all that weight with pregnancy. It's like, is this going to affect my back? Am I going to have nerve pain? And I didn't, which, praise God.
That's great.
Another answered prayer. Because that's, significant. And it is, very lower back area. Anyway, so I got onto the bed and they said, okay, get on your knees. We're going to put this exercise ball between like your chest and the bed. And then you're just going to have your knees. Was your knees closer?
Knees in, ankles out.
Knees in, ankles out.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, it was funny, right? Thought I was going to break the bed because I was gripping onto the bed frame. And at that point, I was having double contractions. And so the midwife said, oh, okay, you just need to push when the contraction, like just push. And it was really weird because I had double contractions. And then the next one I had just one. And then it didn't do anything. She's like, push. And I thought, no, I'm not going to push if there's not a contraction. So then at that point, it was getting pretty close and then got pretty intense. Like, and that was also really weird. Like all these contractions felt like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is intolerable and I'm going to lose my mind and I'm suffering, which again, didn't know first time mom, like, don't know how this is going to go down. So then I got to a point where I was like really pushing and I just felt the rip.
As in like you tore?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it could go all the way from forward to back or back to forward, whatever.
It ripped all the way? You tore all the way? You had a 4th degree tear?
Pretty close. It was a secondary degree tear.
Okay.
But I mean, again, first time mom didn't realize that was a thing. I thought I was like, I knew all the things. No.
Was his head out by that point?
Yes. So, right.
You can see a little bit of his head, and then it would come back in and kind of squish the skin and have that.
So you tore before his head was all the way out?
It was, well, I could only see the top of his head, and I saw some blood come out, which actually I didn't know that you weren't supposed to see blood just yet.
So it was probably her tearing when you saw the blood.
Yeah. That's what we suspect after the fact. So I was the designated baby catcher.
With his own choice.
With his own choice, yeah. I decided, bragging rights.
Yeah. I was like, yes, my man.
Once as the full diameter of the head cleared, the baby came just right out in about a second. So it's taking hours for him to descend, but then once as he clears, it's a second. So I did not expect that was so quick. And he just kind of popped out and I grabbed him
which is wild because Brian said something like, whoa.
Once the head cleared, I thought it would still kind of slowly come out, but
which I thought something was wrong. So I like look between my knees and there's blood trickling like outside of me. I was like, it seems wrong. I don't know. But again, first time mom, like, I know there's supposed to be blood based on the birth course, and Brian thought that too. Like,
yeah.
this is blood.
I mean, they always say expect lots of blood. Well, to me, I guess lots of blood means not what they mean by lots of blood because everyone was concerned.
Yeah, so I flipped over and then like, I don't know, I was kind of like, I made it. I did it. I'm medicated. What actually happened? Because I was in, Babyland. So Ryan gave Titus to me. And I was like, did it? It's happening. I can do this again. That's fine.
Immediately, they suggested you take a medication
Side
to
attack.
stop the bleeding.
No, so they did Pitocin in my thigh at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because at first I was like, I don't really want to do that. And then everyone kind of had, again, I was in Babyland, but I think everyone had a concern like, no, you need this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blood. And so, yeah, they did Pitocin in my thigh. And then they did Cytotec, like the tablets in my mouth, which was, it was very chalky and very dry.
Yeah.
But again, I was like drinking water, but I vomited. And so I was probably dehydrated. Anyway, so that happened. And I just didn't realize I'm bleeding a lot. But again, I just went over to get cleaned and stuff. And I was like, as time I do it, like I'm bleeding and all that stuff. But, I also delivered the placenta already, which was, that was so easy.
Yeah. Compared to a baby.
Yes, for sure. I was like, no bones. Great. Anyway, but yeah, I was kind of concerned about that. So with the midwife and the nurse weren't looking, I asked my sister to get my article gel, and I was just like every 30 minutes or less, just smacking that on my tummy to help with the bleeding. So if I bled too much, that would cause a transfer for me to go to Grady, which I also didn't want because again, he's out. So then it'd be anyway. So I eventually did stop bleeding, and they said I was really close to being a postpartum hemorrhage, which I found out is a liter. Which
the threshold of blood loss is a liter.
Yes, which is 33 ounces. So that's a little bit over 4 cups. And I was like, oh my lands. And my midwife, I just had an appointment yesterday for my 6-week appointment. And she's like, yeah, you lost 993 milliliters. And I was like, gosh, that's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, you have a 2nd-degree tear, which I was like, okay, that's pretty normal. That's fine. Like, it's not. But then the reason it caused the bleeding was that I had like a fish hook type tear in my vaginal wall, which they don't really know why.
Is his hand by his face?
No.
No,
not that we know
that'll
of.
do it. They'll like finger hook you on their way down.
Maybe so. But he came out like he should have, as far as what Brian could tell, which maybe he went up and went down. I don't know. But yeah, like a hook shaped tear in my vaginal wall. So then because of the hormone dump and the side attack, I was violently shaking. And I was also exhausted. And so I have a doula on one side of my right thigh, and then my sister on the other side, and the midwife is stitching me up, and I was just shaking. And the midwife had to stop suturing me up because I was just very, very much shaking, very much not okay. And so my sister would just tap my thigh and be like, you need to stop shaking. I'm like, okay, I'll try. But at that point, I got my baby in arms. I'm like, good. Everything's fine. We'll figure it out. It's good. And so, yeah, the Lord answered that prayer. I did. I'm medicated. I mean, I don't think I would have wanted the blood loss, but praise God for modern technology, because who knows if I would be here without medication and all that.
Well, and I wonder how much of the blood was coming from your uterus and how much was coming from the deep tear that you had as well.
I don't know. I don't know how they would measure that. I don't know.
It's hard to, yeah. Were they like pushing gauze all over it, like your tear, before they sewed it up?
Yeah, yes, I think they were. And I don't remember, again, Babyland. So
it's okay.
Which is funny because I didn't have meconium when my water broke. So then Titus caught up. And he was able to, he's normal. He's very calm, which was very great, very aware, and just, yeah.
They had to make him cry in order to make sure his lungs worked, because he wasn't already crying.
He's not really a performer. When he would move in my belly and I was like, oh, Brian, he's moving. Like, put your hand here. Whenever Brian put his hand on me, he would stop moving.
Yeah.
Every time. It was so funny. I'm like, I'm not imagining this. I'm going to video it. So I'm not crazy. Because he's definitely moving.
So how has this postpartum been then with Titus? How has nursing gone? How has, you're still in it. So how has it gone?
Honestly, I thought I was going to feel like death. Postpartum, because I thought, oh man, like this is, because everyone says it's a marathon. This is like hard and stuff. And it really wasn't bad. Actually, I think resting was probably the hardest part, like actually resting, not really pushing it, which at first, like I would get up and I would just shake. And so I don't know if that was because of the blood loss and or hormonal regulation. I thought he had a tongue tie, ended up being fine. And he does have an overbite.
An overbite?
Yes. Yeah, if you look at his profile from the side, his maxilla is definitely more forward than his mandible. But I've heard it can grow as they, age, and it'll be fine. So I've been trying to be cognizant of that. I think at this point we're latching pretty well. He's latching pretty well. And he's growing on just doing strictly breastfeeding to see how that goes and just kind of taking it one step at a time. I will say, if one thing, as a new mom, I did too much yesterday and tired him out and it was awful. I just need to not do too much. Like, this is a new normal. I think one of my thoughts, I was like, oh, we just need to get back to normal. Like, this is the new normal. Yeah. It's not, my body's never going to be the same. Life's not going to be the same for a good reason.
And for a good while. Like, it will eventually, like, your body will kind of go back to kind of how it was, but it takes time. It's not going to be at 7 weeks postpartum. So you're still definitely in that, fourth trimester and everything. Even if like you're done bleeding, you are still healing. There is still things shifting in your body.
Yes, which is good. Like, this is the Lord's design. This is why you have church family, for them to help you, and have friends and family to just, if you need laundry, I am learning to ask, learning to be, knowing I have a need and I can't do it all, which again, I like to be efficient and to have my list of things and get all the things done, and just being loose with that. So like the most important things, that he's fed, diapers changed, he's doing good. Everything else is like, it can wait. It's my tasks, my time. It's like, this is not, I've chosen sacrifice. This is what I decided,
He is your task.
Yes. And there's not a joy in fulfilling God's design for being a woman. And it is raising kids. It is dying to self. And I think of Christ a lot, actually, when he was in ministry and he told the disciples, like, let's rest. And then all these people came. He's like, nope, just kidding. Like, being that way, like going to the Father and praying whatever I can and asking him for strength and asking him to be the parent that I can be, and for his glory, and, providing not only for his needs, but his spiritual needs, singing to him scripture songs and reading to him a rhyme Bible, and just trying to be intentional, praying for his salvation when he was in my womb and even now.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're called to as believers, and that's what Christ does. When he healed the people, he provided for them physically and spiritually. And, being Christ-like is to be a parent, to be sanctified. And sanctified getting married. And then having a kid is like, the
pushes
kid
you further.
Yes. Yep. Like, oh, for sure.
Squeeze harder.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was patient. No.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think in the middle of the night, like, when is this baby's never going to sleep? It's like, he will sleep. He needs sleep. It's going to happen. Like, think truthful thoughts, Susan,
Yes. curious, two quick things from your story. So what time do you feel like active labor started and what time was he born?
Oh, yeah. So active labor, I think, started around 3 p.m. And then he was born at 8:41 p.m.
So very quick.
Yeah, Lord answered that prayer it was on a Friday. Brian was off. I delivered him during the day. No, there's just something about, I just didn't want to be laboring in active labor during
The
the
night.
middle of the night, early morning.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it.
I understand why. I've done it. I'd rather do it during the day too.
Yeah. So I was like, that's my preference. I'm going to ask the Lord, but we'll see.
And then how much did he end up weighing?
He was 7 pounds and then 5.5 ounces. And he was 20 and a half inches long. So pretty average.
Yeah. Average size baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww.
So it was great. Definitely, I told Brian I can do it again. That's fine.
Apparently that night I can do it again.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was a lot, from what I was learning from you and then these other women with the Mama Natural birth course and the ABC birth course and the birth partner, nourishing traditions, I think all those things really did help. And I think also with the water retaining from what you were saying with the high vitamin C, definitely helped as well. Because again, that cushion is there.
Mm-hmm.
Praise God.
And that helps
I thought,
for sure.
man, if that's the first sign of labor is that your water breaks, I understand that you want epidural. I understand. They'd be like, let's go, give me the medications. So very thankful that the Lord answered those prayers and a lot of fears that I had. I just thought I'll just ask him to help me and give me strength and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys want to say as we wrap up here? Anything else, Brian, that you feel like the Lord taught you or any advice that you would want to give to parents that you haven't mentioned already?
Well, as the husband, there's not a whole lot you can do except just be there and be supportive. Do what your wife asks. Believe her when she says she feels XYZ, because you can't feel for her. You'll have to just believe her words and be the strong one. And don't let her, no, I'm not saying Susan did this, but don't let her emotionally crumble if it gets really, really difficult. You have to be the strong one and be informed. I think being informed is pretty important. However, I felt like the different classes that I listened to were pretty adequate. I think I had a pretty good understanding of the general things that are going to happen, and knowing that every birth is literally different, whether it's the same person or not. It's every birth is different. So I think having a general understanding of the big picture things and the general expectations is good. However, we can't be midwives. So I didn't know that there was too much blood in Susan's example, but I knew that there was going to be blood, for example, and I'm not going to get grossed out.
He also read The Birth Partner, which, if you don't have money, that's really very medically minded, though I don't agree with pregnant person.
Again,
it's like, there's only women who can be pregnant. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Anyway.
But the information was good.
What version of The Birth Partner was it? Because I read The Birth Partner years ago, but that may have been before it was rewritten. What edition is that?
This one's copyright 2018. At the very top, it says 5th edition.
Okay. Yeah. I think I read the 2nd edition or something. I read it back in 2014, I think. So I don't know, but it didn't say birthing people and any of that when I read it. So I'm sure that they updated the language for that.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say that. And then, I've been taking your birth course. So, you probably do this, but the Mama Natural birth course was super helpful as well, because not only did they say, this is what you can have, they also said evidence-based, these are things that can help you not get preeclampsia, not get gestational diabetes, not get all the things. I had no idea how many different things as a pregnant woman you can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like preeclampsia. They say that having high protein, high good electrolyte salt
Mm-hmm.
prevents that. Gestational diabetes, probiotics help with that. So I did kombucha, I did some sauerkraut, and again with your high vitamin C, beef liver, like all that stuff, kind of like what that verse says. With there's multiple counselors, there's safety. And so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, let's just kind of grab here and there from different people and then just kind of come to the conclusion. But what I would say is, one, make sure you are considering your spouse, because it's easy to have a newborn and they are very needy and very vulnerable. But don't ignore your spouse. Like, try to be intentional, check in with them, see where they're at spiritually, try to do nice things for them, be intentional to love them, because this is hard for them too. Like for me, like I'm doing breastfeeding, which is a lot, and like being a new mom's a lot, but it's a lot being a new father, and it's a lot, trying to support two vulnerable people. And so I try to be intentional with checking in with Brian, trying to do nice things as much as he can, communicating. Also, let them organize the nursery. Man.
Real quick. So very early on, when after birth, Susan was practically bedridden. I mean, she could get up, but it wasn't very good.
Oh, I
She's
felt
supposed to be
dizzy. It was
resting. Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. I mean, when you lose blood like that,
On top of.
on top of it,
Yeah.
it's quite a bit of a recovery. So like for a little bit, I was practically the full-time caretaker, which means if I needed to go get something at the middle of the night in the nursery, I almost every single time I was going to go get something, and I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm practically dizzy.
I thought I put something somewhere, but then I might have moved it and then not remembered, and then
I had a task. And get a new onesie or get a new burp cloth or get this device. I don't know. I go in the room. It's a million things all just kind of strewn about. I mean, it was organized prior, but to me, it was not.
it makes sense. Because apparently I don't think like him.
And then, for example, I would get clothes, but then they weren't the ones that matched, which
apparently I have preferences.
So that's fine. Like that's fine, and it's just okay. Well, let's find the ones that match, but I can't. We have a lot of we had a lot of people give us baby stuff, which is very good. I'm very thankful, but finding the right one proved to be pretty challenging since I didn't do any of the organization.
Yeah.
So I would say it is a good idea for the guy to be the main one to organize before the woman goes into labor, so that he knows where everything is and it won't be searching around for like 15 minutes and then coming back empty-handed.
Especially when the baby's screaming, maybe they went through their diaper, got on the onesie. Like, it's just a lot of stress in life. Another thing is making gifts from your midwives or nursing or hospital staff, and use it as an opportunity to witness to them. Because it was funny, because I was being stitched up and I was like, Brian, make sure that the midwives get the gift bag, and like, don't forget that, because that's for them. That's not for us. It's for the nursing and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because when the midwife was like, I'm stitching you up, and now you're thinking about just blessing people. I'm like, that's what a Christian is, like being hospitable, which is ironic because that means being a lover of strangers. Like that's who we're called to be. And like, being stitched up, and I just lost a lot of blood, and I'm exhausted, but have some food. You've been in this with me too, like have some Starbucks instant coffee and whatever else I put in there. And ask the Lord like to be your strength, and pray a lot. Pray for the salvation of your baby, even in the womb. Pray for your husband and your baby every day. And I think what you said, surrender, like submission to whatever the Lord has, is going to help your body relax, help you spiritually be in the right mindset. And just allow the Lord to be glorified, because that's ultimately was my goal. Like, however the Lord wants to be glorified, that's what I want. If it is being unmedicated and being natural, me pulling on his strength, and having other people help me. Also having a doula, that she was great. She was very helpful, kind of gauging. And I mean, having my sister there was also great because she knows me, and like the doula did know me, but just, she's my oldest sister. So she's known me my whole life. It's kind of a little different. And then obviously having a supportive husband who was knowledgeable, who did know how, because I told him, like, if I'm like losing it, look me in the eyes, and try to pull me back down to earth. And it was very smooth. I mean, we already were like, yeah, let's see when we can have another baby. Let's see, like, when's the healthiest, gauge that. That's actually what I asked my midwife yesterday. I'm like, what's your opinion be? Being the person who was there, saw what my body went through. Your thoughts?
So, like we already mentioned, there are things that could be outside of your control, outside of anyone's control on the matter.
Yeah.
For who knows what reason. But I want to weigh in, just give my 2 cents on the things we can control, which we do have some control on what we eat and what we do with our bodies. And I believe whatever body the Lord has given us, we ought to steward and to cultivate with health. And health, I believe, is different than fitness. We all know athletes who eat junk food and they have terrible blood work if they were to get blood work done. That being said, I believe if you are healthy first, if you have not any things outside of your control that can prevent you from being pregnant, that is, you will greatly increase your odds of fertility. There's always going to be budgeting for room for medically necessary C-sections or any kind of other medical intervention. There are legitimate problems outside of your control, but I think most of us have room to control what we put in our food, what we eat, and how we exercise our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those are components to stewarding our bodies the way the Lord has given them to us, and the side effects of health are the higher likelihood of labor and delivery, and being able to move and play with the kids and just have an overall higher quality of life, which I think is what we're called to.
Amen. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for being willing to share Titus's story and your journey and everything. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, it was worth it. Definitely want to do it again.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can reach me at Surrendered Birth Services on Instagram or email me at contact@surrenderedbirthservices.com. Be sure not to miss an episode by hitting the follow button. Also, we'd love for you to leave a written review of the show so that more people's births and lives can be changed by the love of Jesus and the empowerment of accurate birth education. If you really enjoyed this episode in particular, please take a screenshot of it and post it to your Instagram story, tagging Surrendered Birth Services. If you would like to be a guest on the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, please click the link in the episode show notes to fill out your interest form. Also, if you're interested in taking my childbirth classes, birth consultations, or having me as your birth doula, please click on the link in the show notes to take you to my website for online and in-person options. Just as a reminder, this show is not giving medical advice, so please continue to see your personal care provider as needs arise. We hope you have a great week, and remember, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
Yes. So I'm one of 5 kids, and he's a triplet, which is funny because yes, you're a triplet. It's kind of
a natural
thing.
Triplet.
Yes.
Whoa.
One is identical and one is fraternal, and I'm one of the identical ones.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Which is weird because his brother has a beard, and for a costume party, we dressed up. I was the volleyball Wilson, and then he was Castaway, Tom Hanks. So he had the beard on. I was like, take it off, take it off, take it off. Take it off.
You look like
Too
your
much
brother.
like a younger brother. It's so weird. So weird.
That's funny.